Likkutei, Vaeschanan, page 22, second column. Let's see how many lines at the top. 9 lines in the top of the second column. Okay, now the Rebbe is basically saying that through the level of Hisbeininus, through the level of meditation, you come to the level of V'ahavta, you come to the level of love. So what happens if that doesn't work? So then you need to have the level of bittul, because bittul is what makes it happen. And he says that what does bittul mean? Doing mamish the opposite of what I want. Whatever I want to do, I do against Torah mitzvahs, I do mamish the opposite. And he says, in the first Beis HaMikdash, they were able to go straight from the meditation of Shema, straight to V'ahavta, that you loved Hashem, you didn't need Baruch Shem. Baruch Shem is basically the way Hashem runs the world, and therefore it's the level of bittul, and that's the level of bittul that makes it happen. So he says, what does bittul mean? So he says, whether not to do what you want to do, or to do more than you're accustomed of doing. Like if you learn 100 times, you learn 101 times. Whatever you give to tzedakah, you give more to tzedakah. So he says, Kihine Ksiv, it says in the pasuk, Orzeru ala tzaddik. The light was just planted for the tzaddik, was rati ali ba'aretz, and I planted it for me in the earth. Okay, that means the whole concept of Torah mitzvahs is like a tzaddik is planting something in the ground. What's the planting concept? This is a general rule. You can't make from A B, only if A becomes batul, then B can come. Because if A is A and B is B, then it can't happen. He says, like, what he's speaking about, you take a seed. You want the seed to turn into a tree, or a vegetable, fruit, whatever. It has to germinate, it has to rot, and then you can make the tree out of it. So he says, in B'chlal, the rule is, K'moshel Azri, it says, like the moshel of planting, Shazer in Garden Echad, when you plant one seed, a seed, ein it semech, it doesn't grow, at until it rots, until it germinates in the ground. And then when it rots, not only do you get from one seed, one kernel, one wheat, you get a lot of wheat from one little tiny seed. So he said, but what makes it happen is the level of bittul. So that's what he's saying in Avedas Hashem, in order for the Jew to go from here to become close to Hashem, there has to be this level of bittul. When a person nullifies his will, and breaks evil, then you can come to the ultimate love of Hashem. In other words, if there's me and there's Hashem, if I love me, I can't love Hashem. Because it's yesh miyesh. It's one contradictory thing to the next. The only way I could love Hashem is by becoming me, becoming non-me. In other words, through the level of bittul, then I can make that I love Hashem b'chol me'idecha. B'chin es ta'ava g'dei such a tremendous love, she'en yichayel l'skal b'keli, that he can't even grasp onto a vessel. It's too great for a vessel. She'b'chin es b'chol nafshecha, because it says like this. B'chol levavcha b'chol nafshecha b'chol me'idecha. B'chol nafshecha is the ava that's in the brain, which is okay. In other words, you meditate, you love Hashem intellectually. Ava b'chin b'chol me'idecha. But to come to the infinite level of, me'id means infinite. To come to the infinite level, lohoya b'shum kli, can't be in a keli. Why can't it be in a keli? Because a keli limits it. If you're talking about unlimited love, you can't have unlimited love in a limited keli. Elakei shelo malchus peh. What is the keli? It doesn't come above the level of malchus. V'ter shebal per korinun lo, we say all this in Pasuk Eliyah. V'nikra mitzvahs hamelech. This is what's called the king mitzvahs of the king. Asur mutter, forbidden, allowed, tamei, tar, kosher, possible. Okay? So he says, therefore, what is the key to having this Ava Hashem? Because the whole mind is based on Shema Yisrael after How does the Jew come to V'ahavta? And he asked the question, we meditate, but we still don't have the V'ahavta. He said, because you really need the level of bittul. Because then, as long as you are something, that something contradicts the something of Hashem, and therefore you can't make it. So what needs to be done is the bittul. And that's what it says, so it would be your planting and your name, meaning okay, the level of the planting of the light V'shimchem is the V'yastav Shem, which is Kabbalah so Malchus Shemayim, which is the bittul, Rikaves, a garden of the rotting of the seed. That's the only way you can have this level of growth. In other words, the only way somebody could grow, you have this also in business. So the only way you could grow in business is if you invest. Invest means losing, which is bittul. You're giving up money, it's bittul. But only through the bittul can you grow much more than you had before. If you invest 100 and you make 100, you're not getting anywhere. Yeah, but over here, the bittul's not at risk. It's only a risk of the person's own ego and desires. My money, God forbid, I would invest the money and I lose it. Yeah, that's no good. But here we're talking about the investment of bittul, that the actual bittul is Aveda. Without it, it also is Aveda. For instance, even in Halacha, in secular studies, there's no purpose of the studying itself. The purpose is the job I'm going to get after I study and get the degree. I mean, that's the way it works in the secular world. So and studying is a means to an end, then to get a degree and be able to get a job. Studying itself, there's no purpose in it. By Torah, it's completely different. Learning Torah in itself, even if I'm learning to become a teacher, a rabbi, or whatever, the learning itself, because it's a mitzvah, the learning itself is an end by itself. It's not a means to an end. I'll give you even a halachic example. Okay? If somebody has a Gemara test on Sunday, they're allowed to review the Gemara on Shabbos, even though they're only learning for the test. Yeah, if not, they wouldn't be learning. Why isn't that called preparing from Shabbos for the weekday? Why isn't it called preparing for Shabbos for the weekday? Because it's learning. Learning itself is something. But you can't study math for a math test on Sunday, because now you're preparing for Shabbos for the weekday. But studying math is not in a thing in itself. It's only for the test. So therefore, that's preparing for Shabbos for the weekday. Or even another halacha, you want to stay up Saturday night, so you go sleeping Shabbos afternoon. Says as long as you don't verbally say, I'm sleeping now to be up Saturday night, because that verbal is not good. But if somebody sleeps Shabbos afternoon, in order to stay up Saturday night, Shulchan Aruch says, it's not called preparing. Why? Because sleeping on Shabbos itself is something good. So in Avodas Hashem, bittul is supposed to bring a person to V'ahavta, but even without it, the bittul itself is an Aveda. Okay, skip like 6-7 lines. Va'ayim in pasuk Shema Yisrael b'Rabbi say park. Look in Medrash Rabbah. Then Vayechi Perek Tzadik Ches Yikra whatever Shir Hashir. Okay. Okay, just look over here. Look over here. And that's what the pasuk says. Rei nasatu fanacha yem esachayim esamav esasutei v'sera. Okay. The pasuk says at the beginning of Parshas Rei, see, I'm giving you today life and good, maves yasara, death and Torah says choose life. That means the Torah says I'm giving you an option. I'm giving you life and death. Choose life. So the question obviously, which fool is going to choose death? So I'll have to explain. It doesn't mean physical life and death. It means spiritual life and death. I'm giving you spiritual life connection to Hashem. Atam adveikim b'Hashem alakechem. You're clinging to God. You're alive. I'm giving you mavis, which is enjoyment of world Avedas, all the indulgences that we learned about before. So the Alter Rebbe, so that's what the pasuk says. So he says like this: Mavur le'il. Explained before, what is Chayim? The Shema shelamayla me'ar parsa, which is above the heaven. Remember, he said before, there's the heaven that splits. There's the higher spiritual levels and the earthly levels. So Hashem says, look, I'm giving you life that comes from above the heavens, meaning spirituality, kedusha, godliness. I'm giving you the earthly water. Water symbolizes pleasures. Shlomo Melech says, I see that evil is worse than death. That's what Shlomo Melech says. That's the Avodah Zarah of Pa'er. Like we said, they used to urinate in front of it to worship it. So then, it's even worse. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that doing evil is worse than the evil object itself. Why? The evil object had no choice. In other words, a pig, which is forbidden, yeah? A pig didn't have a choice to be Shalosh Klipsa Tameis or Kedusha. It didn't have a choice. Hashem made it a pig. Hashem made it Shalosh Klipsa Tameis. So it is what it is. But when a person chooses to eat it, that means they have a choice of Kedusha or evil, and they choose evil, so that's even worse than the pig itself. So the guy that eats pig is worse than the pig itself. Yeah. Even the Yitush is first. The same thing Teiv that a person chooses is higher than L'chaim. Hashem says, look, I'm giving you Chaim and Mavis. I'm giving you spiritual life, but that's an entity that Hashem made, Kedusha. Why is a neshama infinitely greater than an angel? Angels are only goody-goodies. They only do good. The answer is, angels are created to be Kedusha. They have no choice. Angels don't have free choice to be good or not to be good. The Hashem created them an entity of good. A neshama has the ability to do good or bad. So when a neshama chooses good over bad, it's even greater than the Kedusha which was made good. So Hashem says, there's Chaim and Mavis. I made that as Chaim, I made that as Mavis. You choose good, you're even greater than Chaim. You choose Mavis, you're even worse than the Mavis, than the evil. Chazal say, Yav v'shachas b'tshuva ma'asim tevim. Be'elam hazeh mikol chayelim haba. That 1 hour, one turning of tshuva ma'asim tevim in this world is better than the whole Elam Haba. Elam Haba is a world only of good. Elam Haba is when Hashem made Chaim. The answer is, why could tshuva ma'asim be better than Olam Haba? So besides the fact that over there is a ray and here we have essence. But that in itself is the reason, because that was created as good, so it is good because it has no choice, so to speak. Gan Eden can be Averis or evil. Gan Eden can be Gehenim. Gan Eden. We have an ability to choose between good and bad. We choose good, it's even greater. Like it says in the pasuk, Ki teiv chastecha mechayim. Your chesed is even greater than life. What does that mean? When you do good, it's even greater than the essence of life that Hashem created as life. Ki chayis kol ha'olam is because the life of the whole world only comes in the two A's Yud-Kei. Ki b'yah Hashem tzurei lamin. But Yud nivra olam haba. So that we say every day in Davening Volat Tzion. Ki b'yah Hashem tzurei lamin. But the Yud-Kei, Hashem formed worlds. So the Medrash says, Yud, in other words, Yud-Kei created worlds. So the Medrash says, Yud is Olam Haba, Hey is Olam Hazeh. Now, those are only 2 letters of Hashem's name. There are only 2 letters of Hashem's name. He says, So compared to the essence of Hashem, like the Alter Rebbe explains in Perek Chaf of Tanya, yeah, we learned this many times. The whole universe was created with one word. Compare that word to the power of speech, which is infinite, so it's nothing. Compare that one word to the power of thought, intellect. So it's nothing. So he's saying the whole world, Olam Hazeh and Olam Haba, are created with two letters, not even a whole word. Yud created Olam Haba, and Hey created Olam Hazeh. Yeah? So the whole universe is two letters, not even a word. It's a half a word. It's half of Yud Kei Vav Kei. And yet, when a Jew does their mitzvahs, they connect to the essence. So it's like you can't compare. It's infinitely greater than Olam Haba. That's why in the Chassidic, in the jargon of Chassidus, we don't live for Olam Haba. You know, always you hear people, from people, it's a Torah perspective. They live for Olam Haba. We have to do mitzvahs to go to Olam Haba. We have to go to Olam Haba. Chassidus teaches what Olam Haba and then cup. Doing a mitzvah down here is infinitely greater. Why should I do mitzvahs to go to Olam Haba if Olam Haba is only Hey of Hashem's name, it's only a Rei of the Shechina, when I could do a mitzvah in this world and connect to the essence of Hashem? Why would I do mitzvahs to go to Olam Haba? It's like, why should I do mitzvahs for the copper, bronze medal if I could do mitzvahs now for the gold? So why would I be interested in the bronze? Therefore, the emphasis in the Chassidic world is not in Olam Haba. It's not in for the future, or I'm going to go to Gehenim, or Olam Haba and have to go. No, it's infinitely, in this world is much greater. What?
What about the song that,
No. We're not having to go quiet now. 1 second. What does it say about Ikir is what?
Don't be afraid of it.
But by Chassidim they used to sing it differently.
What? Sing it.
The Welt is in Yiddish. The Welt is a smaller brick, a small bridge. Und der Iker, and the Iker is nicht zu narren sich. The main thing is don't fool yourself. Know who you are. Don't fool yourself. Forget. That's exactly the whole concept. Even the song itself. The world is a small bridge. Yeah, I developed the world is a small, narrow bridge. And the main thing is don't be afraid to cross the bridge. It's not speaking about going to the other side. He said, on the bridge, don't be afraid. Because look what you can accomplish.
Isn't it ultimately for the next world?
No, for Tchis HaMesim. No, Olam Haba talking in Gan Eden.
Not Gan Eden. Tchis HaMesim is also called
Enochanami, but that's not Olam Haba of a ray of the Shechina. That's the essence of the Shechina revealed.
So when the way we touch Olam Haba is from Mashiach?
No. Olam Haba. When they speak about Olam Haba, they're speaking about Gan Eden. Because we have to go to Gan Eden. They don't even use the word Olam Haba. We have to go to Gan Eden.
Also is Olam Haba.
Which,
That's also called.
yeah. How's the food there? In Gan Eden? Lousy. There's a story, they tell a story. Moshe Rabbeinu came up to Gan Eden. Nobody's around. Hashem comes in and he says, you know, Moshe Rabbeinu, take some, you're hungry, take some food from the fridge. He opens the fridge, it's basically an empty fridge, there's nothing there. Moshe Rabbeinu is looking down, he sees Gehenna. There's a feast going on, there's a party, a lot of people, there's mamish a party, mefresh, they're giving food and everything. So Hashem comes back, Moshe Rabbeinu says, Hashem, I don't understand. Gan Eden, there's no food, Gehenna, look at this, all this. Hashem says, Moshe Rabbeinu, In Gan Eden, there's nobody to cook for. Over there's a lot of people to cook for. Here, there's nobody to cook for. Why should I cook anything? Doesn't pay. Understand? How's the food Gan Eden? It's lousy. By the way, one second. You want to know what the food in Gan Eden? I'll tell you. No, we learned Tanya. The Alter Rebbe says in Gan Eden, in the food of Gan Eden for the neshama is the Torah we learned in this world. The garments of the neshama Gan Eden is the clothing, the mitzvahs we do in this world. Okay? So in other words, when a person learns Torah in this, it's like a camel, you keep it storage for Olam Gan Eden. You do mitzvahs in this world, you get more designer clothing in Gan Eden. Okay, that's the food of the Medrash says that, by the way. The Torah is the mozain, the food in Gan Eden for the neshama, because over there there's nothing new. Whatever you do in this world is what happens there. But Chassidus comes along and says, why are we worrying about Gan Eden, which is a joke, so to speak? It's a ray of the Shechina, of Yud-Kei, not only Yud-Kei. Olam Haba is a Yud, the tiniest of all letters. Why should I do mitzvahs for that? If I could do mitzvahs to connect to the essence of Hashem in this world, what do I need Gan Eden for? And that's why in Chassidus there's an expression that brings down that the Ovis are waiting 2,000-3,000 years in Gan Eden. They're waiting to come back into a body. They're waiting anxiously for the body to come, the neshama to come back into a body. What did you want?
I was saying, so is the world a bridge or it's not a bridge?
It's a bridge.
It sounds like it's the main thing, it's the ballroom, it's not just a prose bar, it's like the main thing.
The bridge is a connector. The world connects the Jew to the essence of Hashem. And that's why it's a bridge. It's a connecting point between the Jew and Hashem. So is it the primary thing? Yeah, it's the primary thing. The primary thing is the connection to Hashem. What?
When we say the tzaddikim are going through a hard time, we say tzaddikim go through Yitzurim and hard time,
Right.
because they want to have Olam Haba.
No.
That's why they
Suffer in this world.
suffer in this.
No.
Now when we come to this, we say no. We have to do the mitzvah in this world, forget about the Olam Haba. So which one is right?
Hashem made both. But what's the main focus?
Main focus to have Yitzurim in this world?
No, the main focus is to connect to Hashem.
When Mashiach comes, are we gonna? You can't connect with the mitzvahs and Torah anymore.
Well, after Tchias Mesim, not really. We'll have to wait and see what happens. No, it's not clear yet. So he says, and that's what it says. With you is the source of life. Meaning even the source of life is only imcha, secondary to you. That's the union of the separation of the rakia that it says twice. Is through b'chol meidach.